Tell me, stranger, what's your name?
Why ruin the moment?
Huh? I don't understand.
The wings! What happened to the wings?
How? Who could have... What?
Alright, gang. Time to whip out the handkerchiefs and bust out the Ben & Jerry's, because today's theory is going to get dark, dramatic, and just kind of sad. I'm going to be listing 10 pieces of evidence to you proving that Neyla is Rajan's daughter. Indeed, she was initially supposed to be Rajan's daughter when the game was first being made, but the developers scrapped it when they began running out of time in order to make the story simpler. However, I proclaim that Neyla still is Rajan's daughter, even though they supposedly scrapped the idea. Here's why. Let's start before Sly 2 even began. The wiki page states that Neyla met Arpeggio before the events in Sly 2 even began. Please explain to me how the heck an Interpol agent and stranger could gain an audience with Arpeggio, a criminal genius and crime boss. The only explanation for how she could have gained an audience with him is that she was friends with someone who knew him well. She's a family member of Arpeggio's, not likely, or she knows another Claw Gang member. Rajan is another Claw Gang member. Rajan could most certainly be the common denominator between Arpeggio and Neyla. In fact, Neyla being Rajan's daughter is the only proposition that makes any sense in this case. If you know of any other realistic ways Neyla could have gained an audience with Arpeggio, let's discuss in the comments. We see Neyla in Paris, of course, as she helps us steal the parts. My theory is this is because Neyla and her dad, Rajan, were in cahoots to steal all the parts for themselves, unbeknownst to the rest of the Claw Gang. So, we get to episode 2, and there's a load of evidence that Neyla is Rajan's daughter. The first I want to mention is watch closely after Sly and Carmelita are done dancing. Neyla is there standing right behind Rajan's throne. She clearly knows him well and feels very safe around him. No security in sight on Rajan's end, so he must feel pretty comfy with her. This would be like the biggest mob boss in the USA letting a rando stranger come into his office, sit on his desk, "Hey, what's up, Bubba?" stand next to his chair with absolutely no security. That would never happen. This is big evidence that she is his daughter. She felt comfy just walking right up there with Daddy, and he didn't bat an eye. She was back there behind Rajan in plain sight of everyone, just staring maliciously at Sly and Carmelita, glaring at Carmelita. She's also not even in her dance outfit. The evidence is piling up already. Number 3. Look at the giant golden statue behind Rajan. Looks like Neyla. Same red jewel. I'd say this could even be Neyla's mother. Maybe Neyla's deceased mother, who Rajan misses very much so. Or maybe it was a statue dedicated to Neyla herself, because Rajan missed her very much so. I doubt he would have been involved much in Neyla's life as a child, seeing she grew up poor, while Rajan has been rich since early adulthood. Maybe Rajan's lover, aka Neyla's mother, found out he was a crime lord and took Neyla with her, far away from Rajan, and Rajan missed them. Any way you look at it, there's a giant statue resembling Neyla in the palace, and that can't just be coincidental. Number 4. So now we go to the jungle where Rajan runs and hides, and this is where things get really interesting. So if Rajan and Neyla are just trying to steal all the parts, why would they let Sly take the wings but keep the heart and run off to the jungle? This is because they plan to lure Sly and his gang out there in the open to kill them in the jungle where nobody would ever know. But we'll get more into that later. First, let's talk about Neyla's mission, where she leads Sly, to half of the Clockwerk heart? How was she the only one who knew of this secret entrance? How did Bentley, with all of his advanced technology, not know? How did Carmelita and the Contessa not know? Contessa and Carmelita were both nearby because they show up immediately after the fight with Rajan. So the point I'm obviously getting at is that Neyla knew where the heart was because she was there plotting with her father Rajan the whole time, pretending to be spying on him for Interpol, when in actuality, she was with him in his temple. Neyla always worked separately from the Contessa and Carmelita. Just like in Paris, she continued doing her own field work in solitude here in the jungle. So nobody would suspect she was with Rajan during all of this supposed field work. Nobody was checking in on her. She was given free rein to do whatever she wanted. Neyla and Rajan decided to tell Sly the location of half the heart because they already had made enough spice for Clockla to be powered. What they were making now, they were just selling to get more rich. It was a drug operation. Now Sly trusts Neyla even more, which is what their plan was all along. I mean, just look at what he exclaims when he walks into the secret entrance that Neyla showed him.
There it is, just like Neyla said.
Which leads us into the fifth point. Number 5. So now that the Cooper gang trusts Neyla, she plans to lure them to her dad, who will kill them. Neyla and Rajan know the Cooper gang plans to flood the temple. They let them do it because it will perfectly wash away all evidence of their drug operation and get the whole gang out in the open to finish them off. Neyla was clearly in the temple when it flooded. Just look at the way she shows up right as Rajan runs out of the temple. She got her ass out of there too. Rajan is yelling, angry, overdramatic, and drawing attention to himself. He sees his daughter down there talking to Sly and sees she will indeed lure Sly right to him. So he puts on a show as his daughter runs up to him, pretending to fire lightning bolts at her with his staff, but they miss by a mile. They're shot at the wrong points. He clearly isn't trying to hit her. This is emphasized by the fact he lets her stand there next to him for a whole 30 seconds to a minute, maybe even more depending how much you suck at this game. She doesn't hit him. He doesn't hit her. She just stands there next to him. He doesn't do anything. Clearly he does not wish to harm her. She's just relaxed, watching him. He's firing only at Sly. When Sly gets to the same point Neyla is standing, Rajan simply aims down and blasts him, as Neyla is allowed to just walk off. Why didn't he take aim at Neyla ever? Not once. She's gotta be his daughter. Number 6. Neyla didn't think Murray or Bentley would fight her dad. She thought everything would be over with Sly going down. Remember, Sly is really the only person in the gang that she ever interacted with. She and her dad could kill the Contessa and Carmelita right there in the jungle, as well as Bentley and Murray, and take all the Clockwerk parts with them. Then they'd be on their way to steal Contessa's parts with ease, since the Contessa would no longer be there to guard them, then head to Canada and grab the rest. Neyla would give the parts to Arpeggio. Rajan would be in Paris waiting for her. Neyla backstabs Arpeggio, takes control of Clockla, and picks up her dad down below to continue their mischievous plans with the world. But that didn't happen because she didn't plan on Murray being a badass. Well, he was, and he knocked her dad out. She didn't help in this fight because Carmelita and Contessa were right there behind her watching. So Neyla, being extremely clever, turns around and tells Contessa that she's captured all of the Cooper gang and Rajan. She knows the Contessa will end up just releasing Rajan because the Contessa never wanted him to be caught anyway. They're both in the Claw gang, duh. Neyla also stabs Carmelita in the back to get rid of her, as that was always her backup plan if she couldn't get rid of her through other means. So she lets Contessa fake arrest her dad. By the way, the Contessa doesn't know Neyla is Rajan's daughter. The only people that know that are the high-level agents that recruited her in the first place. They recruited her to capture her own father, who she never really knew that well as a kid. Let me explain more of this by visiting the Sly 2 manual. Number 7. Let's go back to Neyla's description in the Sly 2 manual. She ran a meager homework ring, so Interpol offered her a job? Nah, that doesn't make any sense. That's honestly got to be a load of BS. Interpol offered her a job to catch her father. Bratty kids that run quote-unquote homework rings don't get recruited to be special agents. That's laughable. Neyla was obviously recruited because Interpol could use her for their own means to catch Rajan. Only high-level secret agents tailing Rajan for years knew she was his daughter, and they kept it a secret from other agents because, first of all, come on, don't you know how things work? It was on a top-secret need-to-know basis, and second, they didn't want word spreading all over about what their plans were because then Rajan would find out easily through the rumors spreading. Neyla accepted the task, but not really. It's true she didn't know her dad much, as he was running a drug empire, but Rajan actually always loved her, even though she lived far away with her mom. Hence Rajan putting up a gold statue of her in his palace. Rajan never stopped loving Neyla, or her mom, but he couldn't be with them because of the line of work he was engaged in. It wasn't safe for them, and the mother didn't want that life for her baby. So she ran away from Rajan. She accepted nothing from Rajan. No monetary help. She kept Neyla away from her father and out of touch. I mean, come on, this does happen a lot, guys. So Neyla grew up poor like the manual says. When Rajan gets wind that Neyla, his own daughter, is working for Interpol, he's now able to contact her and convinces her that catching him would be futile and that he had much bigger plans for them. This is when Neyla gained her first audience and started building trust with Arpeggio. Neyla already had criminal instincts, so the plan from Arpeggio and the secret plan her and her dad made behind everyone's back appealed to her. So now you see the only ones that know Neyla is the daughter of Rajan are Arpeggio and Rajan. Arpeggio doesn't care that Neyla is backstabbing all the other Claw Gang members because Arpeggio already got what he needed from them. He lets Neyla run through him, cutting off all loose ends. He's never going to rat out that she's Rajan's daughter. There would be no point. Anyway, catching Rajan would do nothing for Neyla's life, and Rajan shows the desperate-to-be-loved Neyla that he always really did love her. Back to where we were, Neyla seems to have captured Rajan after Murray knocked him out. However, he was just going to be handed over to the Contessa and released because they were all in cahoots. So Rajan is the only bad guy released and free. He and Neyla plan to meet up again in Paris after she steals Clockwerk. Neyla backstabs Contessa. Neyla backstabs Arpeggio. Rajan gets revenge on the world for his poor upbringing and the taking of his daughter. He now gets to rule the world with that daughter that he never got to live with. Gets to be king of the world with Neyla as his immortal daughter. Neyla gets to be with her father forever. She gets to live forever. She proves how smart and better she is than everyone else, and she will never be poor again. These two unfortunate people out for revenge now rule the world. Now for some quick, obvious pieces of evidence. Number 8, they're both from India. Number 9, they both have criminal backgrounds. Rajan is a spice/drug lord. Neyla ran a homework ring at university. Number 10, they're both Bengal tigers that share the same colors and markings. Rajan is also definitely old enough to be her father. Overall, we find that Neyla is far too comfortable around Rajan for coincidence, and far too similar in appearance and behavior. If you enjoyed this theory, please like and subscribe for more. Next time we discuss Neyla, I'll be submitting the theory of why Neyla could very well still be alive, and you don't want to miss that one. Thanks for watching, gang. Is Neyla Rajan's daughter, or just some rando psychopath with no connection to anything? Leave a comment and let's discuss.